All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury, and I'm joined right now by King County Elections Director Julie Wise. Welcome back to the Morning Update Show on your first time here in studio.
It is so awesome to be with you all this morning. I love the energy here.
Yeah, no, we're as passionate about media as you are as voting.
We're a good pair then.
No, we're a good pair for people. I know Director Wise, and she's like, call me Julie. I was like, my mama be watching. My mama be like, you wasn't supposed to call her by her first name. It's an elected official.
I don't know you're talking to me. I need Julie, not Director Wise. Who's that?
But like I said, you've been on the show quite a few times before. And before we get this interview going, I just want to acknowledge that every time that we've called, you guys have answered the call. I remember that at one point it was removal of mailboxes the last election and things like that, and how it might impact especially elders in our community and their ballots. And I called your office, and within a day, me and you were together on air. And, you guys have always been intentional about communicating with us here at Converge. I want to say thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate the opportunity to be able to get the word out to the community to combat any misinformation around elections. So we really appreciate that you're always talking about elections and how important they are.
Yeah, no, people got to vote, huh? Look, come on, let's get this in for the wide shot right here. Yeah, and so we're waiving these ballots because tell us all about it. Today is the day that the ballots are mailed out, right?
Today is the day. We mailed 1.4 million ballots out to our King County voters, so you should start receiving it in your mailbox in the next couple of days. If voters do not have it by that Monday, July 19th mail delivery, they should be giving us a call at 296-VOTE because we can get another ballot out to them.
Right, and tell us, there's always people moving in and moving out and things like that, but if they're registered here and expecting a ballot, what are some of the things? One of the things that I found unique, you might expand upon, is I was able to track my ballot.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Isn't that the coolest?
Yeah, it was received, this, that, counted, everything.
We've partnered up with the post office to even provide more tracking so that you would even know approximately when it's going to be in your mailbox. We're like future readers here or something. So you can track your ballot not only as it makes its way to you, but especially when you return your ballot. Regardless if you use the United States Postal Service or a ballot drop box, we've got 73 out there in King County. You don't need a stamp, but you can track that your ballot got back in the hands of King County elections to ensure that your voice is heard, that your ballot is counted. So that's a really great way to make sure that nothing happened in transit with your ballot. If you don't receive it by Monday, if something doesn't show in the tracker as being received, we can always reissue another ballot to our voters. And again, we're always at 296-VOTE, waiting for your call to help you.
Wait. And I know that's the preferred method, 100%, but I do recall that last year, you guys were helpful to the general public, even around people tweeting in or anything like that, or issues that they saw. I mean, how proactive is this team down there at King County Elections?
Absolutely. Social media is a great way for us to hear of concerns, just fun pictures to share, to encourage people to get out there and register to vote and to vote. So, of course, hit us up on social media. We're on KC Elections on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, via email. Our website is a great tool as well, and we're in person too. So we're always in our Renton headquarters, but we're also going to have 5 other vote centers across King County for this election. So Kenmore, Bellevue, Seattle, Federal Way, Kent. We'll be open on Saturday, Monday before Election Day, and of course Tuesday, Election Day, to help out voters. And you can get registered all the way up to and including Election Day in Washington State.
Now you hear this.
Mind-blowing.
Now let me, and I want to touch on one or two of those things too, because Washington seems to be a polar opposite of where a lot of, other states want to go. How did we do? What's the report card from the last election? I know you wanted to try to get it at 90 or higher. How did we do last time?
87%. That's darn close to 90%. It's almost a mic drop. Not quite, but we're getting there. I mean, that is record. In this country, that is record turnout. To have 87% of your voters show up for an election is mind-blowing. We've never seen any numbers like that here in King County. So I think we're on to something, right? When you remove barriers You increase access, you make voting as easy as possible, and keep it secure at the same time. It's not a one or other thing. You'll get people to show up. Now, we just got to get them to show up like that for this election, the
Right.
local elections. It's not just about showing up in the presidential.
Tell them why the local election matters.
This is about your day-to-day life. This really impacts those hard-earned dollars that you make, your tax dollars. The decisions about how those are going to be used is really done at the local level. We're talking about cities. We're talking about schools, parks, fire. So how fast you want a response if there's an issue at your home, policing, sidewalks, libraries, parks, all sorts of different decisions are being made at this local level. We typically only see about a 35% turnout in this primary.
Yo, yeah, we got to step that up. And, I would say what's interesting for people here in the city of Seattle, particularly, but also in King County, is that if a lot of people came to the streets, a lot of people made their voices heard by holding protest signs or marching and things like that, and even public comment and writing their elected officials. But if you're looking for any kind of change in the system, then your civic responsibility, they don't really teach civics like they used to. It's your rights and responsibility. It's actually your responsibility, as a citizen here to cast your vote. And, if you were looking for one of these people looking for change here in the system and everything else, make sure that voting is also part of your routine.
Yeah, I mean, I love your sports gear, right? It's not a spectator sport, right?
That's
Elections isn't a spectator sport. And you are making a choice by not voting.
That's true.
That is a choice to say, I'm going to let the other guy make the decision for me. And we don't want that. We want to make a decision about how our day-to-day lives are going to be impacted, how our friends, our community, our family, our children are going to be impacted by these decisions. So we can't sit aside and allow a 35% turnout. We have the most diverse pool of candidates running this election. More people of color, more younger people, more women running for office. A record number of people running for office. This is the time to get educated about those candidates and make a decision.
You said something real interesting there, Director Wise. You said that it's a real diverse pool of candidates. And, for me, I've never interviewed this many black people running for office, ever. But since you brought that up, almost on cue, but since you brought that up, let's go hop in the time machine here. And this is back from an interview that we had with you back on March 10th.
We know, I hear it each election, that one of the key reasons why people don't vote in local elections is because they don't see candidates on the ballots that look like them or represent their community. So at King County elections, we recognize the disgraceful history of voter suppression that continues to disproportionately affect Black, Indigenous, people of color communities. And so not only do we want to encourage communities of color to vote, but we want to encourage communities of color to run, because giving everyone a vote and a voice is really fundamental and cornerstone to our democracy.
Now, I'll tell you, Director Wise, I pulled that clip out last night because, I wanted to give you a tip of the hat and you guys at King County elections, because months and months and months ago, you were very intentional, and you came here on this show and said, help us get the word out. We want more candidates of color to run, and we think that, they might think that there's perceived barriers. How do we tell them how to run? How do we have workshops for them to run? How can we have virtual sessions? And even in that interview, you said, man, we're going to have these sessions where it'll be virtual, and then they're going to be up on our YouTube page. And if you go there, like every single thing that you said that King County elections was going to do to be able to make the pool of people running more inclusive, you guys have done that. I acknowledge that. I appreciate your efforts. And I've never talked to such a diverse group of candidates ever. They're out there.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to dig into the voters pamphlet that's going to be coming out this week as well, right? Where we get to see the candidates write a statement to us as voters about what their intentions are when they get office, if they are elected. I know it sounds geeky, but I'm totally stoked to get into that newsprint manual, open it up, and start researching these candidates and make some decisions. I appreciate that. I really, truly believe that it is our job at the King County Elections Office, my job as the director, to really engage our community. If not us, who else? We've done a lot of things, from candidate workshops to prepaid postage to election day voter registration, from 10 drop boxes to 73. But we have more work to do. I'm proud of what we're doing in King County, but I'm not gonna lie, it's disturbing to see in 48 states over 348 voting restrictive laws in 2020 and 2021. That's saddening to me. I've been in this industry, I've been doing elections, nonpartisan elections for 20 years. And I'm proud of what Washington and King County is doing, but we have more room to grow here, but we really need to get people to turn out. How you got people engaged and help us get the word out about running for office, we need to do the same thing about our local elections and really keep that momentum from 2020 where we had an 87% turnout. Let's keep that energy, that drive, that excitement to turn out at the ballot drop box this election.
Yeah, no, it's important. And, you know, it's disheartening to see what's going on in other places in America when it comes around this vote. And it's happening in broad daylight. I always tell people that, you know, I mean, a generation or 2 generations ago, it was just physical intimidation at the poll. Your employer was sitting there, and basically you knew if they saw you vote, you'd get fired. Or maybe they're sitting there with a shotgun, or maybe somebody's burning a cross. Now, you don't even do all that. You just go to the state legislature and to suppress the vote. And I'm glad to, you know, I'm not even glad, I'm proud to say I live here in Seattle and King County in the state of Washington, and the way that elections are handled here and this high level of transparency. And you've been doing mail-in voting for how long in this state?
Oh my gosh, in King County, we've been doing it since 2009. And the state for about 15 years has been doing vote-by-mail elections. This is a proven, secure, accessible voting system that's been done for over 150 years. So it's a bunch of BS about this whole, like, it's not safe and secure. We've been doing it for 150 years, it is.
I think that we're just in a state where we actually want everybody to vote. And sometimes people don't want everybody to vote.
That's fair.
So, you know, because we're going into election season and because the ballots are out, you know, we're sitting here now trying to figure out what Converge's unique messaging around the get out the vote's going to be. And so I'll play our ad from last year, and I'll get your feedback on it.
Now is one of the most important elections in our country's history. With a global pandemic, a withering economy, social change, and a lot of other crazy stuff. If you already voted, congratulations. If you haven't voted yet, get up, get out, go vote, and play your part in making not only our city, our county, our state, but our country a better place. Nobody likes an uninformed voter. Make sure and take your time to read through the issues on the ballot. I wonder if it's going to be Taco Tuesday on Election Day. Completely fill in the oval for each race using only black or blue ink pen. Vote all columns, both sides, and all pages of the ballot. Skipping a race will not invalidate your ballot. To prepare ballot to send, place voted ballot in the secrecy envelope and seal the envelope. Sign the voter affirmation on the return signature envelope. Don't be like this guy. Make sure your vote counts by following all proper guidelines in preparing your ballot. Yeah!
Yes.
Yeah, I did it. I wonder if my other brothers voted. On a serious note, and on behalf of all my colleagues here at Converge Media, get up, get out, go vote.
So we've got to figure out how to top that from last year.
That's going to be hard to do. That is rad. I love that video. I don't want to correct you, but you know, you can use any color ink on your ballot.
Okay.
Pink glitter pen if you wanted to. I mean, if that's what you have handy, you can do that. And you could tape it. We would still count it. But I love the energy. I'm sorry. I'm such an election geek over here. I'm like, oh, well, it's okay to do that. But I love it. I love the energy. What are you going to do this year?
Man, that's what I'm saying. We're sitting here brainstorming now. I'm like, wow, we got to come up with something better. What I do think though is we're gonna have quite a few this year. You know what I'm saying? We really want to do our part to get people out to vote. And I know one of the PSAs that we're going to do this year is just going to be of community, talking to community and encourage them to vote. And this is such a voting, and especially in our community, it's such a sacred thing that we need not ever take for granted. You know, it's just a long history in this country. And when things work right, the one equalizing factor that we're supposed to have here in this country is that vote. It's that vote. And you hold it so dear and so precious. And, you know, it's our job to make sure and convey that importance to our community and to the general public of how important that vote is. And a lot of people have died to be able to have this right to vote. And, you know, I remember even as a kid growing up, sometimes my mama, she was, you know, unimpacted by any of the candidates. When she said, I vote for her grandmother. You know, she's like, I'm voting for my grandmother and my mother, who, you know, they paid taxes there their whole life, but it was always taxation without representation down there in the state of Florida and Georgia and these places where my grandparents and elders come from. And so for us in our home and our family, that vote is something special.
Absolutely. Wish more voters looked at it that way. I mean, it really is, it's powerful. I mean, when you and I have the same power as the president or the governor, right? I mean, our votes are equal in that. I mean, we each get to fill in the oval on one ballot. So it is a big responsibility. I think, as going back to all the candidates that are running for office this year, it's a little daunting to run for office, you know? It's a little bit scary, but I think this is a really great, exciting time to check out the primary ballot. Don't you want to have a voice in the top two? Because that's what we do here in Washington State. The top two vote getters go on to the general election. I don't want to just show up in November, whoever everyone else picked as the top two. I want my favorite to be in the top two.
You got to be in the mix. Director Wise, once you look into that camera right there and tell all the people all the information they need to know about these ballots, how to reach you guys, and some of everything else. You'll tighten it up.
All right, voters, 1.4 million ballots went out in the mail this week. You should have your ballot by Monday, July 19th. If you don't, give us a call or email us or go online to our website, kingcounty.gov/elections or 296-VOTE. You can register if you don't have a ballot and you're not a registered voter. You can register all the way up to and including Election Day. We will have vote centers around King County. Again, those are located on our website. They'll be open Saturday and Monday before Election Day, and of course, Election Day. We've got some long hours there, so you can come in the morning or later in the evening as well. Voter pamphlets are also going to be headed out this week as well, so that you can familiarize yourself with the candidates and the issues. But don't be tardy to the party. You have to have your ballot in by August 3rd, either 8 p.m. at a drop box, there's 73 around King County, or in the mail. Either way, you don't need a stamp. And then track it. Go to our website, track your ballot, make sure we receive it. Don't forget that all-important signature on the return envelope. It doesn't have to be legible. It could be a scratch. It just needs to match the signature that's either probably on your driver's license or your state ID, because that's what's on your voter registration record. King County Elections is here to help you. So if you ever have any questions, do not hesitate to check us out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at KC Elections, or give us a call, again, 296-VOTE. We're happy to answer any questions. Happy voting. Get out that voter's pamphlet. The cool thing, and y'all put this in your video too, and vote by mail. You could vote solo at home with a cup of coffee or wine, or do a happy hour, or when you're just outside walking. I don't know, you could do it anywhere, anyhow. That's the cool thing about vote by mail. So make sure that your voice is heard. You're too important. You matter, and we want to hear what your choices are for candidates and ballot measures this August 3rd primary election.
All right, there it is. You heard it from the director herself. There you go, Curtis. Let me get this camera. The most important thing Director Wise said was, don't be tardy for the party. King County Elections Director Julie Wise, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me. I love being here with you all.